to another Nickjitsu video. Today, I'm not going to be playing any guitar. How'd your wee stew? No, today I'm going to be talking about hearing loss.
Pardon?
Yeah, that joke never gets old, does it? So you don't notice it at first. You're kind of in a busy place trying to hear people talk and you can't quite make them out, or you're watching TV and it sounds like everybody's mumbling. Probably because most of the time they are. One of the little tricks with that, by the way, is to turn it on to, I think it's sport mode. You've got different EQ modes on your TV, and some of them have more top end, some of them have more bottom end, like the cinema thing for all the you know, space cow noises and stuff like that. Yeah, I watch some weird movies sometimes. What happens when you suffer from hearing loss is you begin to lose the consonant sounds, which are all up in the upper frequencies. So you miss out all the K's, the T's and the S's and all that kind of thing. And when you're listening to somebody, it kind of sounds like they're... I didn't notice that there was any kind of problem with my ears until I met up with a mate of mine, Brad Snelling. Hello, Brad. And we ended up in a pub. What are the chances of us ending up in a pub together? And the pub wasn't particularly busy, but it was fairly noisy with the room ambience and stuff. After a while, Brad noticed that I was having to watch him speak. And he was the one that said, "Nick, your hearing's getting really bad, isn't it?" I was in denial for a wee while, but then we went back to his, and he did one of these hearing things where he sticks headphones on your ears and says, and plays you this awful CD of really crap noises like beep, like that kind of thing at various volumes, and then thingies it into his computer, and then out pops this. The reason that Brad was able to do that is he runs the Leek Hearing Centre with his partner Claire up in Leek. It's either in a place called Leek or he only deals with various types of Welsh vegetables. So as you can see, I've lost a lot of my frequencies. They kind of start dipping about 4K. And I've done one of these tests. You can get them online, you get them on YouTube. And I don't know how scientific they are, but you know, it's just something that you can do. And it gives you a sine wave all the way up to from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, which is meant to be the range of normal human hearing. And being a normal human, I swear I'm normal. I can only hear from 20 all the way up to about just less than 10K. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't hear at all above that frequency. It just means that particular thing, sine wave thing, I can't hear above that frequency. Here's a clip of one of my songs from the album Hyperacusis-Leek, latest album that I've got out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you it normally as it was mixed, and then I'm going to put my hearing loss into it. And it's a very unscientific way of showing you what happens or how I hear that music in theory. So what causes hearing loss? It's pretty obvious, really. You get age-induced hearing loss, which is age-induced, and you get kind of an environmentally induced hearing loss, which is environmentally induced. It's not that scientific, really, is it? Age-induced hearing loss happens to everybody who gets older, but you know, I'm 39 and a few months. I haven't had a birthday for a number of years, so I haven't got any older, so I'm all right. However, where I work, in bands, playing live, setting up with loud DJs, screaming women. All these things are very, very loud. Guitarists are never loud. Never, ever. Although, joking aside, I did use, and I've seen a lot of guitar players use it, where they use an amp stand. And you have to be very careful with them, because the thing that you're not noticing is that you want to hear yourself over the rest of the band, and particularly the drummer, especially if you're on a small stage. It's not the drummer's fault. It's just it's the environment, that kind of thing. And what you'll do is you put an amp on an amp stand, but the beam of the amp will direct itself right at your ears. So you know when you mic up an amp and you put the microphone right in the middle of the speaker, you kind of get a kind of sound rather than as you get at the side. That beam just goes right at your ears, and that mixed in with the drums, mixed in with the singing, mixed in with the screaming women and the DJ, that's it. That destroys your ears, basically. So you have to be very careful of that. So I'm not one for medical stuff, because I'm actually quite squeamish. So I'm not going to show you any pictures of what happens inside your ear. Just Google it. Just type in things that happen inside your ear. Your ear. Scottish accents. Now, environmentally induced hearing loss doesn't just affect musicians, not like rock musicians playing in loud bands. It can affect like big band players, because you've got a trumpet in your ear trumpet. You get it in brass bands, rubber bands, gastric bands, you name it. You get hearing loss. Any kind of loud environment. You also get them on shooting ranges, the racing car driver, people that race cars and make all that noise. They're unbelievably loud. And airports, the guys that lovingly take your guitar case and throw it lovingly into the back of an airplane. Those guys, it's a very, very loud environment. So they all need hearing protection as well. So my hearing loss doesn't mean that I'm completely deaf. All it means is that I suffer from a degradation in certain frequencies. So that in loud environments like your pub, I find it very difficult to hear people over the background noise, which works in my favour sometimes, because sometimes I'd rather hear the background noise over certain people. I've worked ways round it when it comes to mixing and producing, because I can still work as a producer and a mixer and all that kind of thing. I use a lot of graphs and things like that. I might do another video if anybody's interested on how I cope with hearing loss and actually mixing. If anybody's interested. Hearing loss comes with side effects too. It's not just about losing your hearing. There's another couple of things that I suffer from. One of them's quite common, one of them's not so common. The not so common one is a thing called hyperacusis. And that's where certain sounds sound louder than they actually are. A sound like, for example, a snare drum or cymbal, or a woman with a really piercing laugh, or one of those little yippy dogs, Yip, 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 yip. They're the worst, actually, because they're like the Spanish Inquisition. You don't know they're going to happen. You don't expect them. The sound is excruciating in my ears. Absolutely excruciating. What it also does is that certain frequencies, and depending on your environment, because you're having to lip read and you're getting assaulted by all this noise, it sometimes feels like you're getting punched in the ear. It's very tiring, like very tiring. So you become knackered more easy and a little bit more grumpy than you should. The other common problem is tinnitus, or if you're American, tinnitus. Tinnitus, my arse. Tomato. See, you get grumpy when you can't hear very well. So the sound of tinnitus is like a constant gas leak in your ear. With a kind of like little mini Jimi Hendrix providing lots and lots of feedback with this constant whine in your ear. It's the wrong kind of whine as well. You don't really notice it until you're in a place that's deathly quiet. Like, you're sleeping in your car in the middle of the mountains of Snowdonia, and all you can hear is the occasional owl and the odd Welshman here and there. Then the sound of tinnitus becomes louder and louder and louder because there's no other sound to kind of distract you from it. So like I said, the tinnitus becomes all-consuming, and I wish there was something you could do to just switch it off. You hear that silence? Tinnitus was on the whole time. So let's have a listen to my tinnitus. Yep, that's what's in my ears the whole time. And it gets louder. It's almost like it attenuates itself depending on what other noises are around. There's so much background noise in life in general, like I said, that you don't really notice it until you go out into the countryside and there's literally no other sound. You can imagine how loud it would be in one of those antibiotic chambers, you know, the things with the spikes all over the walls that look like the inside of an Iron Maiden, not the band. Kind of place where, you know, when you fart, it just goes, So what can we do to prevent hearing loss in the band? Number one, turn down. If you turn down, then everybody will be able to hear each other and you play more musically anyway. Learn how to EQ properly so that you're not just firing huge top-end frequencies everywhere. Drummers can do things like lower the cymbals down or buy, you know, plastic cymbals and one of those Hello Kitty kits. They're not too loud. Guitarists, you've got a thing called a volume control that goes down as well as up. So you can turn it down a wee bit or just EQ some of the top end out or do what I mentioned earlier and don't have your guitar amp on a stand which is beaming directly at your ears. Point it at the singer. Other thing you can do is wear earplugs. And even the cheap foam ones are good enough. They won't stop a whole load going in like professional earplugs, but they're fine. They'll do the job. So what we need is a fantastic hearing protection company. ACS Pro Series hearing protection is the answer. And these are little kind of moulded things like a half-chew gummy bear that go straight into your ear, down your ear canal. And they've got a little attenuator, a little filter that will filter out various dBs of noise. They start at 10 dB or minus 10 dB and they go all the way down to like a million dB or something like that. I can't remember. But I've got 10 dB, 17 and 22 or something like that. Different filters for different environments. The awkward part is having the stuff rammed in your ear. It's like a small child ramming plasticine in your ear. One little tip I'll give you before you get the ear molds done, you get the stuff put in your ear, is go and have your ears cleaned by a sexy nurse somewhere. Because there's been a couple of times that I've gone to have it done and my ears have had too much wax in them. My mate John O'Heal works for ACS, and as well as being a fantastic bassist, musician, and all-round top bloke, he's very, very passionate about hearing protection. A few years ago, we ended up in a pub together. What are the chances? And he noticed, as well as Brad, that I couldn't hear very well and I was lip reading. What's really funny is that myself, Jono and Brad, together with Doc Spoons, Richard Spooner, we all used to play in a band together called FU2K, which is a U2 tribute band. And also when we were much smaller, we used to play in the Hooky Doughnuts. So the Custom Pro series that I've got, that I wear at not just gigs, I wear them quite a lot of music shows, or in pubs, or in when you're at a party and you go into that really reverberant kitchen and there's a whole bunch of people talking. The benefits of ACS custom molds are you're getting very good high quality hearing protection for the price of a guitar pedal. Just not a bad monkey. Thanks, Josh. Cost of them has gone through the roof recently. Also, it makes you feel less tired. Cuts down on the old tinnitus after a gig. You play more musically because you can actually hear what you're playing. There's more definition to what's going on in the band. Lesser earplugs will begin to work their way out and fall on the floor, and then you stick them back in and you get all kinds of ear infections and kind of mushrooms growing out your ears and stuff like that. With the ACS custom molds, they fit and they're in. That's it. But they're very comfy for wearing for long periods of time. Get them in this handy little case. Mine's a bit moth-eaten now. And it comes with a little tin of ACS mini lube for all your mini lube moments. Are there any downsides to the Pro Series hearing protection, or any hearing protection for that matter? Well, yes, but only if you're slightly special like me. Mummy says I'm special. What makes me different is that I play normal electric guitar and I also play synth guitar at the same time. I'm triggering kind of two musical worlds when I'm playing live. Now that becomes quite tricky when you've got the hearing protection in, because it takes away your dynamics and it takes away your definition of what you're hearing. Now a lot of what I've got to hear in the guitar world is around the 2K mark. That's where you get in that pick attack and the kind of clarity of what you're playing, the consonants, if you like. And it's even higher with the synth sounds, depending on the synths. But essentially, I have to hear in 3D, not 2D. And when I've got the hearing protection in, my hearing goes down to 2D. When I'm just playing guitar, it's fine, it's easy, because I'm only having to hear one thing. It's exactly like if you're a mixer or a producer, next time you're in the studio, listen to a track in mono and then listen to it in stereo. Having hearing protection in is like listening in mono. What I tend to do, which don't tell Jono or anybody else, is I tend to just wear one. Whatever side the drummer's on, I'll have my hearing protection in that ear, and I'll leave the other ear free. Also, don't tell Jono, but in sound checks, I don't wear hearing protection at all, because that gives me the kind of ballpark for where my volume should be for the various synths. The difficulty is that when you change synth patch or guitar effects, that affects the frequencies that are coming through, and then that's when you have to attenuate. That's when you've got to turn things up and down, maybe change the EQ depending on the room. There's a whole bunch of factors that I'm kind of missing out on. So it's taken a long time to learn how to play with the hearing protection in. But otherwise, they're brilliant. So full disclosure, I'm an endorsee of ACS. They've been very kind to me over the years. And also, those people who know me, any product that I use and any product I do a video on, that kind of thing, is a product, number one, I use. I love it. More importantly, the company is a good company to be with. Only remains for me to thank Jono for getting me sorted with the custom molds, looking after me, and for all the beers. Thank you very much. To Jerry for all the musical advice, teaching me about dance music, and to Tony for all the guitar chat and for taking all the photos. So thank you for joining me for this. Don't forget to check out the ACS website. I'll put a link in the description below. They also do in-ear monitors and a few other things. I'm thinking of going down the in-ear monitor route myself. Could be a game changer. So if it works, I'll do another video. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, the bell icon and the doodah and all that kind of thing. And I'll see you on the next one. Beginning of that was rubbish, wasn't it?